Hi everyone, this is Module 2 for our general music class called The Language of Music. In the previous module, you learned about reading different kinds of rhythms and how to count them and how to write them. So this module is getting us one step closer to our third module, which is going to be when we actually get our recorders and start making music. But in order to do that, we have to learn how to read music, which is what this module is all about, the language of music. Our learning targets for this module: we'll be able to identify the lines and spaces of the music staff by their alphabetical names. We'll be able to explain the difference between a line note and a space note. And we'll be able to compose our own song using the notes on the music staff. Vocabulary words to look out for in this module is music staff, which we'll talk about quite a bit today. It's the 5 lines and 4 spaces that music is written on. A line note is a note in which the staff line is going through the middle of it. A space note is a note that's located between 2 lines on the music staff, quite literally in the space created by the staff. And again, to compose is to write an original piece of music. Now in Module 1, you did compositions with rhythms only. In this module, for this week's assignments, you'll be able to compose with not only rhythm, but by changing the pitches as well to create a song of your choice. So here we go with today's mini lecture. This looks probably familiar from last week's module. You can see the time signature that we previously talked about and the treble clef. But the part that we're going to be focusing on is the music staff, which is these lines and spaces that we write the music on. There are 5 lines, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 4 spaces, 1, 2, 3, 4. Each one of these lines and spaces corresponds to an alphabetical name of a note on the staff. Now, today's lesson, we are only going to be focusing on the treble clef. The treble clef is important because it's what assigns each line and space to a specific note. For example, if we were using a different kind of clef, each line and space would correspond to a different note than if it was for the treble clef. And that's how we write music for different instruments. But for the purpose of this class and learning the recorder, we're only going to be focusing on the treble clef. That's why it's important this week in your assignments that when you're instructed on your online games to assign a clef, you make sure you click the treble clef so you can learn to read your music correctly. We're going to start off by talking about what a line note is. So the definition of the line note was a music note in which the line of the staff goes through the center. So you can see the note head right here. This is a whole note representing 4 beats of sound. And the music staff line goes right through the middle. Each one of these lines is a line note, and it would look the same no matter where the note was. A space note is a note that fits in one of these 4 spaces. The line does not go through the center, and that's what constitutes it to be a space note. Here we have 2 different music staffs to show us the line notes and the space notes. Our line notes moving up from the bottom are E, G, B, D, and F. And our space notes are F, A, C, and E. So no matter what happens, if you're using the treble clef, these will never change. If the note is on the bottom line, it will always be an E. And if the line is in the second space, it will always be an A. So that's something to keep in mind. Now notice that we have an E down here on the first line, and we have an E up here in the top space. We also have an F in the bottom space and an F on the top line. Music only uses letters A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. Therefore, those notes repeat over and over again. But as you ascend up the music staff, the note will get higher in pitch. The lower you go, the lower the note is going to sound. So there are going to be many different kinds of every one of the letters of music that you're going to see, and that's okay. So let's look more in depth at the space notes. The way that I remember, spaces spell face, and that's an easy way to remember them. So if you're looking at some music and the letters are covered up, because there won't be letter names on the top of your music, you'll just have the music note. Just remember face, space, F, A, C, and E. To remember the line notes, I remember every good boy does fine. Now you can make up your own words if it helps you to remember what the line note names are, but for my purposes, I always remember every good boy does fine. E, G, B, D, F. So let's figure out what this note is. First, think to yourself, is this a line note or a space note? This is a line note because the line is in the center. Now, eventually, you'll be able to look at this note and immediately know what it is. But since we've just started, you probably don't know. So because it's a line note, we know that we have to figure out every good boy does fine. So let's start at the bottom. Every good boy. This note is a B. Let's figure out what this note is. This note, first determine if it's a line note or a space note. There's no line in the center, and it's located between two lines, which makes it a space note. The way we remember the spaces is to remember face. F, A, C. This note is a C. So you can use this trick to figure out any note that you're going to have that's located on the music staff. For the purpose of recorder, we're going to be using a lot of the notes G, B, A, and C. These four notes we're going to see quite often in our music, but we're going to practice using the notes from E on the bottom line all the way up to F on the top line. And the way we're going to do that is with some really fun online games that I'm going to provide for you on the website. So go ahead and check those out and start practicing your note reading. Enjoy your work week, and I look forward to seeing your assignments and listening to your beautiful music.